Okay then, after our sound beating by White Weenie round 1, we are faced with a mystery opponent round 2 and one lander on play with technically 4 1-drops, but really 3 1-drops and a 2-drop. I think this hand's quite good if we draw a second land. If we don't, it's a bit sketchy, but on the other hand, our deck is mostly 1-drops. And this is just part and parcel of playing a deck with 18 lands in it, because sometimes like your deck is just filled with low impact cards for 1 mana. Sometimes you've just got to keep a 1-lander. It's like a deck like this really doesn't mulligan very well, since all the cards are very low impact. Hooray, we did it. So, what does this mean exactly? If it's burn, then we would probably prefer to play out 2 creatures. If it's like red deck wins, we probably want to play Sparksmith or other goblins. But I think it's most likely to be burn. Or it could obviously be like a blue-red deck that just happens to draw in Basic Mountain. So I'm going to play this out first because it's not a big disaster if we don't play like 2 sliders. I say it could be something like blue-red Drake, because they do have like usually around 4 basic mountains in their deck. But if they're gonna play like a Valley Dasher or something, I'd much rather play Sparksmith. Oh, Goblin Cohort. So obviously this does deal some damage to ourselves, but that's okay since it's just like they hit us once and then their creature dies. Okay. Oh, I actually just made a mistake there. I should have responded. I just should have straight up punted there because Sparksmith counts enemy goblins and this is a goblin. So I wasn't thinking there, but you can see how this is in fact a skill game because I'm just totally punted that turn. They should be now down a cohort and I should be, up a life because we just took 3 damage instead of taking 2 damage. So we are, however, at basic parity. We are slightly ahead on account of just having an extra card in hand with identical boards. So it's important to not dwell on the fact that this should be dead and be going, oh, this should be dead. You just need to get on with it and try and win. Mog War Marshal is a huge beating, since it just gives them, so much more sacrifice power. Like, it's not close to being the time to Fire Blast Goblin Slider or anything, but it does mean this cohort can attack fairly freely for now. They might run out of creatures, so the cohort gets to stop attacking, but we're in semi-rough shape now. Well, so what I'm gonna do here is not attack. Like we're just on the defensive. Like we've got 5 fewer life than they do, and this is our best blocker. I'm not exactly sure what it means. I guess this means there's a bushwhacker. No? Alright. So the fact that they didn't pay Echo is a bit strange, since it would have just given them a full extra +1/+1. Like, if they weren't going to pay Echo, they could have upkeep, sacrificed the Slider. And I sort of don't want to play Echo either, so I guess this gets mildly punished by a Lightning Bolt, but not massively. I think I'll pass priority at this point. Bushwhacker is definitely at its worst in matchups like this, where they can just make a bunch of guys to block all of your creatures. Death Spark, I'm liking that one. Definitely going to play that on Slider. It'll force the sacrifice of a goblin over here, but it puts them in a rough spot, because then, like, if they try and attack, like, if we feel like it, we can just sacrifice a Slider. But if they try and attack, we can quite easily just like double block and get something in our graveyard, while also not just sacrificing it freely. So if I attack with these goblins, if they block with a cohort, I can sack one Slider, just trade off, and since this has 1 damage on it, it would have traded with a goblin token. So they're flooding out. This is 5 lands is definitely a flood out in this format. So we need to try and capitalize on the advantage that we have here. Charge! Okay. That's kind of annoying. So this only triggers during upkeep. So if I want to buy it back, kind of need to sacrifice something now. But on the other hand, if I just like attack next turn with Bushwhacker, then I can trade it off that way. It's strange how good, 3/1/1s is in this matchup. So yeah, that can die. I will be able to buy back Death Spark next turn. And Fire Blast is, again, it's being reserved until I either draw another Fire Blast, or they do something like go all in on a creature using Slider. I will take 2. They could easily have a Fire Blast of their own, so I'd prefer not to go to 8, because then they could draw 2. Yes. I see. Well, I can't think of anything that punishes us here at all. So I'm just gonna, I'll like fire off the Death Spark, and then just Fire Blast him. I mean, if they've got something which gains them a life, I'll be very impressed, and I'll laugh at me, you know, just casting Armageddon on myself. Two Fire Blast on the stack, cool. Okay, so now obviously double Fire Blast finished him off there, but it's not really how we're intending to win the game because it's gonna mostly be about board control. So we're gonna bring in these life staffs and these electricaries, even though, like, you know, electricaries sort of get semi-bricked by Goblin Sliders. It's useful for containing the enemy creatures. I think like the worst creature is probably just Foundry Street Denizen, since it's very miserable at blocking and at being blocked by, you know, all these War Marshals and stuff. It's a very attrition-based game, so I'm actually fairly happy with this one-lander. Like, look at all these one-mana spells. Hand's great. Obviously, certain hands can beat like this hand if we draw fairly poorly. Like if they have a second land, Bolt or Conscripts, play another creature, and then next turn we play one more creature, then nothing else, then they remove our creature, and then Bolt again, then we start racking up a bunch of damage. But I think that we are well set up to play an attrition game. I mean, just look at all these 2/2 defenders we've got. They're down to 3 cards. Now we could play Lightning Bolt. I kind of want to save it for like a Sparksmith or something, but I definitely wouldn't mind playing Lightning Bolt there. It's definitely one of the debatable choices. It's possible that all the Foundry Street denizens should have been taken out, and they could have left in, you know, a couple of Fire Blasts. But I think we're doing okay. So I'm just going to play another Conscripts, and if they try and kill it, I'll respond with Death Spark. Okay. Of course, you know, I'm saying things like this is probably the worst card in my deck. It might not be the worst card in their deck because they can easily have a different sideboarding plan than me. You know, I'm gearing up to cast Life Staff and that sort of thing. Trickery? Am I missing something here? I don't quite get what happened there. So, yep, I'm just gonna carry on what we're doing. Cast Death Spark, trade, and they're left with just a 1/1 Bushwhacker. And then we can play a couple of we can buy this back. So yeah, I'll buy that back. think I'll just... Nah, I won't bother killing it. I'll get Cohort into play first, then tool it up with Life Staff and probably start going to town. And by going to town, I mean very slowly going to town. And, well, okay, that seems totally reasonable. I'll see you for next round.